Hey, in this video, we are going to talk about how can you harness the power of your personality as an introvert. I have my resident introvert expert in the studio with me. Hello, Kenzie.
Hello.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about what it means to be an introvert and how important it is to have introverts in our world. So thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so the first talking point that we're going to say today is that introverts are great people. Now, Kenzie, tell me why some people don't think that that's true, or how you've been made to feel like maybe that's not true.
Well, I think our society places a lot of emphasis on being an extrovert and having those characteristics, being loud and outgoing, being the cool person, being charming, being the one that's friends with everyone. But in reality, the world needs introverts, and introverts are great people too.
Right.
And there's a lot of strengths that introverts have that maybe aren't talked about as much, but that can really be used, especially in a leadership setting, to kind of, help us be good.
Right. So tell me some things. Tell me some strengths that introverts offer the world.
Yeah, so they typically are more level-headed. They can keep their emotions in check. That makes them really good leaders because they have the ability to take themselves out of a situation and to really think about it, analyze it, come back and, hear both sides out. They're not as, emotional, so they can handle those situations better. They're good problem solvers. They can juggle problems. They typically are more organized. And they just make really great leaders, and that's something, that the world doesn't really talk about that much.
Right, and I think it's interesting too. I read somewhere that introverts are really better friends because you're more interested in listening than you are having to always be the speaker.
Yeah.
So you can really study people and learn who they are. And that is a very important skill, leadership or otherwise. Okay, so tell me, just share, what were some things that you did as you kind of struggled through deciding that introverts were great people? What did you do to educate yourself?
Yeah, so I think that's really important because there's, we talk about extroverts a lot, but introverts aren't talked about as much. So I read a really great book called Quiet by Susan Cain. If you're an introvert, you should definitely read that. There's a lot of great podcasts out there. There's books, there's YouTube channels. Even just researching leaders who are introverts has really helped me kind of have more pride in my personality because, a lot of the big leaders in the world are introverts, and they're really great leaders because they're introverts.
Right, so that's good. So educate yourself, learn about who other introverts are in the world. Yeah, because this leads to our second talking point. Don't make apologies for your personality type.
Yeah.
Right, I think a lot of people think that extroverts are better than introverts. And so introverts then feel like they're trying to force themselves into being a more extroverted personality. And the truth is, it's not about being lesser of a person. It's just your personality type is different. Even as your mom, your personality type as an introvert is different than my personality as an extrovert. That doesn't make me better or you better.
Yeah.
We're just different that way. Okay, so what are some things that you feel like maybe you've had to apologize or felt you needed to apologize for in the past, and what do you want to tell introverts out there not to do?
Yeah, well, I think most of my friends are extroverts, so for a long time, and my parents are extroverts, so for a long time I felt like something was wrong with me. Like, why don't, all my friends want to hang out every day after school? Why does that not sound fun to me? Why is that so tiring to me? But I really just realized it's all about figuring out your personality and what works for you, and not falling into that trap that you need to be social all the time. It's okay to not want to hang out with your friends. It doesn't mean you don't love them. It doesn't mean you don't have fun when you're with them. You just have different needs than them. So one thing I really learned more in my senior year of high school was it's okay to say no, and you shouldn't feel guilty. And a deal I made with myself was I'll be social one night, and then the next night I can be in and do whatever I want. So Friday nights I would hang out with my friends and I'd be present with them and I'd be having fun. But then Saturday I'd be okay with saying no and be okay with laying in bed watching a movie or reading a book.
Yeah, and I think that's important for you as an introvert to feel like I don't need to make apologies for needing time alone, because your personality type requires that to energize yourself.
Yeah.
So even if you're around people who are more extroverted and are energized by people, it's okay for you to say, you know what, to this point in this boundary, I'm good. But if I start stepping over that and force myself to be more social than I want to be, then that's going to be to your own detriment. Okay. So anything else you want to share about not apologizing for your personality?
No, I think just that. Just don't apologize. It's okay to be different. If all your friends are extroverts, it's okay to accept that that's not as energizing for you and you need that time alone. And back to the point of educating yourself, I also think it's a good idea to educate the people around you. Because I think my friends that were extroverts didn't understand, and so they would kind of be offended if I said no.
Right.
So
you kind of explain, like, this is just my personality. It's not about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Okay, well, I hope that was helpful. Use those questions. Have a conversation about this with someone in your world so you can better understand. Like, being an introvert is great. And for you, Kenzie, I know that was an important part for you to be able to say that and to feel confident in that. So use those questions, have a conversation, learn about your own personality, and we'll see you in the next video.